Hi, I'm Brenda Yoho, and welcome to Solution Saturday. So, today I want to talk about setting limits in the classroom. Now, as parents, we set some limits at home for our children, and so we know that limits are very important to the order of what we try to do each day. So, limits are the messages or signals we use to communicate our rules and expectations for behavior. Limits are the very basic questions that children ask about how the world works. They want to know how to react to every situation. So, just like the stoplight, green means go, red means stop. So, they're comparing what we're doing in the classroom to just what the traffic light is saying to do. So, they're trying to figure out what's going on. So, they're researchers. They're trying to figure out how to answer the question of who's in control? How far can I go? What happens when I go too far? So they're trying to define the balance of the power of the authority in the teacher and student relationship and to help children determine whether they should comply or if the teacher's rules are optional and really required. So these little researchers are testing their limits every day. And some of the kids don't have to do the research because other kids are doing it for them. So children are learning concretely. Their beliefs and perceptions are based primarily on what they experience, not necessarily on what they were told. So, what do we hear teachers doing over and over again? Repeating, repeating, repeating. Now, I'm all about repeating things because I believe the more we say things, the more kids can remember. The consistency in what we say is so important. But more important is the consistency matches what we do. So the facts are important that we know that what we're saying is what we're doing and that the kids understand that when we say something, we mean it, and that's what's going to happen. So when our words match our actions consistently, children learn to trust our words, and they trust and recognize the rules behind them. So, in reality, what we need to do is just be so consistent in everything that we do. It's so important because kids are watching and learning not what we're saying all the time, but most importantly, in what we're doing. So when our words do not match our actions, children learn to ignore our words and base their beliefs on what they experience. So I think it's important that we talk about that and we understand that when we set some limits in the classroom, that we need to follow them. And I believe that we need to be consistent all of the time with what we're saying and doing. And one of the things that I advise teachers to do is to not use humor, sarcasm, that kind of stuff with kids. It doesn't work. Kids don't want to be pointed out, singled out, embarrassed. It just doesn't work. It shuts them down. Trust me. Been there, done that. I had a friend of mine ask me a question, some advice on an individual, and wanted to know what I thought about behaviors. And, it's very hard to talk about with a friend about their actions as a teacher. And it's very difficult to have those kind of conversations when you are a principal talking to another individual, or if you are a teacher that's a co-teacher, if you're a parent trying to talk to a teacher, all those conversations are all difficult. But we have to have those difficult conversations when we're talking about our children and how they're perceiving something. Now, just because a child perceives something one way doesn't mean that we're bad. It means that we need to work on it. If kids perceive a situation in one way, we need to say, I'm sorry you feel that way, and fix it. We don't want any child to ever feel that we're picking on them. Have I had that happen? Absolutely. Have I had teachers that's worked under me have that happen? Yes, of course. And we've worked through that. And it's important to not take it personally, but to just take an action, change the behavior, whatever it may be, change the wording, whatever it is. The positive reinforcement that we can have to get what we need in order for learning to continue is the approach we need to take. We need to make sure that we simplify this as best we can. And one of the first things we need to do is to find out the why. Why is the child having a difficulty in your classroom? That's the first thing you need to do. And you do that privately. And sometimes you have to talk to the parents and the child together. That's what you need to do. Like I said, difficult conversations are hard to have, but are needed to take place in order for things to move forward. But consistently saying and doing is an important practice. We cannot have unexpected expectations for children. They need to know what's expected and say it consistently, and then follow it up with what your actions are. If we say 3 strikes with talking, and then you have a consequence, then make it 3 strikes and a consequence. That means 3 warnings, whatever it may be. Whatever your rule is, make sure it's clear, they know up front, and that you're following consistently. My 2 rules, it's an umbrella that everything falls under. And I always like to ask the kids, how they feel. How did others feel? Did you feel safe? Did other people feel safe? Those are such an easy way to approach everything that we do. We want everybody to feel good. We want everybody to feel safe. And when we can approach things from that perspective and have those conversations around that umbrella, then things can work out a little bit easier. But setting limits in the classroom, consistently saying, consistently doing is the best way to accomplish great things. So I hope this helps. Setting limits in the classroom. I will tell you that there is a book written by Robert McKenzie. It is called Setting Limits in the Classroom. And a lot of the information that I talk about comes from lots of books that I've read and over the years. And I think that book is probably back in 2002, maybe, when I first got into administration. It's still relevant, I think. There's some other things that are out there that can help with this situation, but I think that this is still the best practice. Consistently saying and consistently doing, but remembering that students learn concretely, so your actions are going to speak so much louder than your words. Don't use sarcasm. Don't single kids out. Have private conversations. Talk with parents, family, school, and community. Those 3 partnerships working together makes things a lot better for all of us. So have a great day. I hope this helps. I'll see you next Saturday. Thank you.